So let's think about it. Sweating, tense muscles, elevated heart rate, stress in general. What am I talking about? Is that the gym or is it anxiety? What are the actual symptoms of anxiety? It's, sweating, it's a elevated heart rate, it is disorganization, it's erratic thinking, it's so many different things for so many different people. But one thing that I know we all know is it seems like every other day, one other person who's gonna say, I have anxiety. Not everybody we know is taking medication for it. So is there another way to actually deal with this? In 2004, the University of Mississippi did a study on 54 students, so not a huge group, but essentially what they did is they cut this group in half and they said, hey, we're gonna have you guys exercising for 20 minutes a day, 6 days a week for 2 weeks. So not a super long study either. And what they did was they had half of those people going for 60 to 90% of their maximum heart rate, and they had the other half under 60% of their maximum heart rate. So essentially really intense and not so intense. And what they found was that both groups did have a decrease in overall anxiety, but the one thing that stood out was the higher intensity group had a decrease in their response to the physical sensations of anxiety. So let's think about it. Sweating, tense muscles, elevated heart rate, stress in general. What am I talking about? Is that the gym or is it anxiety? I suppose in this case, it could be either. So when we actually look at this study, you've got to consider, why is it that exercise is so effective? So my personal theory on it, and it seems to be pretty well accepted, is you're recreating that symptom in a way that you understand is beneficial for you. So think about anything that you like.
I like to play.
Anything at all. And if something terrible happens around it, it doesn't take that much for you to hate it. So right now, if you're not exercising regularly, your association to that elevated heart rate, that stress, that tension, all those different things that you feel is, oh God, I'm having an anxiety attack. Whereas people who are exercising regularly, people who are feeling that and associating it with a beneficial thing, they're not thinking, oh God, they're thinking like, oh God, like, oh, I'm at the gym, I'm exercising, I'm doing whatever it may be. But you can go a little bit deeper than this. So this is for all you sciencey people out there. Exercise has actually been used for treatment mid-anxiety attack. So why is that? When fat gets broken down by the body, it starts releasing something called tryptophan. It's an amino acid. Most people are familiar with that as like the thing that makes you sleepy during Thanksgiving from turkey. So tryptophan is actually a building block in serotonin. Another thing that exercise does is it makes your body start to produce more BDNF, which also increases your body's levels of serotonin. And the final piece of this is it makes your body start to release GABA. That's actually the main goal of anti-anxiolytics or anti-anxiety medication, is to get your body to release more GABA, because not only can it decrease the symptoms of anxiety completely, it can also slow down the onset of it so that you're able to catch it. An important thing to clarify here is that it is not just exercising in general. They did a study in Chile where they had people exercising 3 times a week for 30 minutes or 1 time a week for 90 minutes, so the same amount of time, but spread out differently, of course, and they were able to show much, much more favorable effects with the more regular consistency of exercise. But personally, the thing that I find the most interesting about this was in 1997, so this is more than 20 years ago, over 6 months, a long study, they showed that exercise is actually more effective than anti-anxiety medications. All right, guys, so I'm gonna give you 4 reasons why it is that this actually happens. The first one is distraction. Right now, just think about the color green. Now think about a giraffe. Now think about a coffee cup shaped like Darth Vader. I will guarantee that you at no point in time during this started thinking about Cuba or started thinking about a bowl of cereal, because your brain can only focus on one thing. What? when you make that focus, that one thing that your brain is going to be focusing on, exercise, it's not going to be thinking about that freaking out. What? So the second one here is that you're arming your brain. GABA, serotonin, BDNF, all these different things that your brain can utilize, and not only are you giving it more of them, you're making it better at using them. You're literally arming your brain to be better. The third one here, I kind of talked about this earlier in the video, but it's association. You know, if you always associate, let's just talk about muscle pain that we get at the gym. If you feel muscle pain and you didn't work out, you freak out because you know you're not thinking about like, oh, well, I was at the gym. So you're wondering, why is it hurting? If you just start freaking out and your heart rate starts picking up, you start stressing out. But if you change that association, if you make that association, oh, that's the thing that I feel at the gym, or that's, this is something else that you're relating to a positive thing, you're less likely to have that freak out because of what you perceive it to be. The final bit here, and this is kind of dark, is you free yourself. And what I mean by that is how they actually study stress is they bind rats to the ground.
Gross.
Think about the last time you had an anxiety attack. You probably just curled up into a ball and held on to yourself and felt like you couldn't do anything, felt like you were just stuck there. I know this seems overly simplistic, but if you can do anything when you're having an anxiety attack, just move.